Okay, so we're going to look at number 29. This is practice test one. We're looking at 3.5.65. That's the question identifier. So section 3.5 in our text. The box plot displayed shows the average ticket price for 4 professional sports leagues. Complete parts A and B below. So for part A, which sport has the most expensive? And then which sport has the least expensive? So if we're looking at this, this is just talking about which is the most and least. The most expensive, if we look over here, the most expensive ticket is going to be that one, right? That's the highest cost. That is B, right? And then what's the least? The least is this little outlier over here. So that would be D. So for the part A, the sport is going to be sport A. I'm sorry, not A, B. Is that wrong? Sport B. I looked at A up there. So B has the single highest ticket price, and then D has the lowest ticket price, so least expensive. So they have some outliers that follow that. For part B, compare the ticket prices for A and C. So now we're just looking at A and C. I'm actually gonna make that a little bit less thick. Let's try this one more time. So let's look at A. Oh my, that's maybe not thick enough. I'll just have to write a little neater. So let's try this one more time. Okay. So that was, I don't know what's going on. Okay. So that was B, most expensive, and D was least. So now let's look at A. So A is the top one here, right? And C is the little one right here. Okay. So typical ticket for A, comparing it. So when we talk about typical, so typical, thinking back to some of the work that we did earlier in this, and that was, we defined typical as our center, right? And so the data set that we're looking at now, these are skewed, right? So we're looking at things that are skewed, and we're trying to talk about a measure of central tendency. So for that, we want to use our median of, I mean, we have a box plot, but that's where it would come from, even just on definitions. So that's A and that's C. So A obviously has sport A is higher. So it's going to have a higher typical cost because that central median value is higher than for A than it is for C, right? And then since sport A has, let me see how we fill these in. Oh, it's more expensive then. Let's change that to more expensive then. I didn't even look at the choices. Is more expensive than a typical talk, since sport A has a higher median than, so it has a higher median than sport C. What has more variability? So if we look at C, the variability, our measure of variability or is going to be I cannot spell, variability, just kidding. We're going to use our interquartile range. That's our measure of variability when something is skewed. And so we're going to use that interquartile range. So that's going to be our box, right? So looking at it, which one has a larger box? It looks like A to me. But again, we can kind of zoom in. We can even use our ruler if we need to. I mean, the more you zoom in, you can kind of see. To me, C is going to come down like this. So I don't know. That's about 50, I'd say. And that's, I don't know, 80, maybe 90. Again, A here. And so A takes up almost the entire 100, I would say. So that's like maybe 110, 120, and that's probably 180. So that one's 60. This is about 30. I mean, I may have overdone this a little, but definitely A has more variability. So okay, so there's a lot of boxes here. I was getting confused for a second. So number 5 is where we are here. So sport A has more variability, as shown by the higher interquartile range. Sport A has a potentially, does sport A has potential outliers representing unusually. So where are the outliers for A? They're way over here. See that? So those are representing unusually high priced. So it's only high priced because they're only on the right. That's where the high priced values are. So A, because it's over here, they're high priced tickets. Sport C also has outliers over on the right. So that's the higher prices. So that's also high priced. So they both only have outliers to the right, which are high priced tickets. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little. Let's just see it. So again, we're using our median, median and interquartile range because we're dealing with our data sets that are skewed. Okay. All right, we are going to go ahead and stop. This was question 29 for practice test 1, and it was from section 3.5, question number 65.